Let's take a look at how to animate using Keyframe controller within Rio. First of all, there are a couple of ways to open the menu. If you have a Neo panel, your control to open it is a single button press away. If not, you can pull up the Keyframe controller on the menu bar here. At this stage, it may be a good idea to zoom into your timeline using one of the zoom methods. I prefer to lasso in as it's super quick. There is also a zoom control inside the graph for when there's lots of keyframes and animations stacking up, so you can get even more control. There are a couple of ways you can start to keyframe, either in an auto keyframe mode or using a method where it won't add a keyframe unless you select confirm. We call this edit mode. Let's start with auto keyframe mode. Set your keyframe button to indicate red. You may need to press this button a couple of times to do this. This is auto keyframe and is red to show you a warning. You'll also notice on the Neo panel your button will glow red to indicate the same auto keyframe warning. Next, make a change to your image. In my example, I'm going to keyframe some text characters. As soon as you make a change anywhere on the timeline, you can see a keyframe is added. Move along the timeline and change another perimeter and another keyframe is added. In this mode, you can move and edit the keyframes. Now let's try keyframe in edit mode. Press the button to turn off auto mode. When the button is grey, you're in edit mode. Now make a change to your image. The action will happen but no keyframe has been set, so if you move to another area of the timeline, you will see that I can make another change and a keyframe has not been added, and therefore no keyframe path will appear. This mode of working is really useful if you're working on a grade and you want that grade to remain the same throughout the entire segment. You can of course add a keyframe in this mode. You will notice that when I made the change, the button has now turned orange. This is now the confirmation button. By pressing this icon, you are now adding a keyframe into the timeline, but each change on the timeline will require you to confirm it if you want to actually make a keyframe, like so. Be warned that in order to move or edit a keyframe, you must turn auto mode back on. If you don't, it locks the keyframes in position so that you can't accidentally move them, so to move them or slide them you must turn auto mode back on. There are many different views in the keyframe graph. Compound, which shows you all of the keyframe graphs combined. Separate shows you an individual keyframe area for each path or attribute. Overview shows you a line without the trajectory of the path. In order to navigate to the correct keyframe path, you can open and collapse these menus. If you wish to view just one of these paths, for example, the X position, you can press and hold on the selector and the other paths will be hidden. Press and hold again to reveal the other paths, or you could just mute individual ones. Unlike in other software, when you turn off the keyframe menu button, your keyframes do not get deleted. They are always remembered whatever mode you are in. The way to delete them is pretty easy though, and you also have many ways to do this. You can either lasso individually or multiple keyframes in the graph and use the cut button, or you can use the delete and tap function. You can also use delete keyframes and all, which will delete all of the keyframes for that character. The keyframe graph also has a number of other options in order to make animating easy. You can use repeating and looping effects here. You can add jitter here or smooth out keyframes, and even control the tangents. Plus, you have the ability to change how your path is defined using linear and curved paths. It's even easy to copy and paste keyframes. Just remember, you need to be in auto keyframe mode to make that happen. And if you lasso a bunch of keyframes, editing those is really easy. It's worth noting that every menu has the same keyframe control and that any value can be animated, including individual points on a curve or shape.